Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back here to another weather update, my friends. We got a lot of nasty weather heading in as we are talking not 1 but 2 days worth of tornadic activity here, as the SPC has issued a 5% risk here for both today and tomorrow, as well as a bit of damaging winds across the southeast, portions of the mid-Atlantic, as well as New England. On top of that, we're dealing with several feet of snow out there by the Great Lakes, as we're seeing yet again more lake effect snowfall, bringing a lot of nasty conditions for those regions. And another thing, really strong winds as well with the system. We'll be driving over tropical storm force winds across some of these regions here. We are going to be talking some gusts upwards of like 60 or more miles an hour. It's going to be pretty rough out there in the Northeast. Now, guys, before we go ahead and get on into it, my friends, if you have not already, consider hitting that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it, my friends. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it. All right, so the first thing I do want to take a look at here is the current active satellite imagery. We got a lot of things going on in this image here. Now, focusing on the south here to begin with, we do have a lot of thunderstorm activity starting to kick off across portions here of like Mississippi, Alabama, a little bit of Georgia. Now, we do actually have a 5% chance for tornadoes today, a decent tornado event. Just general severe weather is going to be a concern for today. We'll get more into that here in a few minutes. But across the south, we are starting to see ourselves a lot of thunderstorm activity starting to kick off here, as we do have the tropical jet stream basically rolling a lot of moisture across the southern U.S. Now, across the north, we actually have ourselves a bit of air from Canada starting to work its way down into the country. From here on out, it's just going to continue to push further and further down into the country, driving a lot of cold air. We're actually expecting to get into the negatives up here across portions of the north yet again. So we'll be talking more about that as well here in a few moments. And then lastly, I do want to focus on the Pacific Northwest. We do actually have ourselves another little line of moisture actually starting to work its way towards the region. We're going to be getting some more upper level snowfall, as well as a lot of that lower level rainfall to occur here shortly, as we are watching that other system roll its way through. All right, so hopping our way over here to the radar regarding currently what's going on across the country. We are seeing that thunderstorm activity really starting to take off across the south. Now, if you look here in this blue, this is basically where the instability or the fuel for these thunderstorms is located. So you can actually see there is a bit of unstable air, possibility for some thunderstorms working its way up here into like eastern Kentucky currently. Now, from the Storm Prediction Center, we do have a slight risk, a level 2 severe weather threat for today. The greatest chance for severe weather today is going to be across central and east central Alabama, as well as out there kind of towards the central and west central side here of Georgia. Now, like I mentioned, we do actually have ourselves a 5% chance for tornadoes today. We're going to go ahead and disable the radar layer as well as the instability. Where we can see that we do have that 5% chance. Montgomery, Alabama is included. We do got areas out there kind of near Macon, Georgia included in that big 5% risk out there. So we're going to want to definitely be weather aware in this region here, as tornadoes will be possible. Now, the overall risk actually does work its way down even into like eastern, southeastern and Louisiana, as we do have that 2% chance, a relatively low end chance for tornadoes, but it is still a threat and something that you should definitely still monitor overall. So now, whenever it comes to the risk for hail, we actually do not have really any concerns for hail today. We're not expecting anything damaging or severe in terms of hail. However, damaging winds, SPC also added a 15% risk for damaging wind gusts, likely ranging between maybe 60 and 70 mile an hour wind gusts as the line kind of rolls through. Now, earlier today, we actually did have a couple tornado warnings. We had one in Louisiana, and we had another one out there towards Alabama. So there's already some tornadic activity already starting to occur. So just make sure from here on out today, you guys are monitoring this closely, keeping an eye on the radar. We might actually end up doing coverage later today, so we'll keep you guys posted with that. Now, that's basically what's going on here for today. Now, tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has now upgraded the risk to a slight risk across eastern North Carolina out there, where we do have ourselves now a 5% chance for tornadoes in eastern North Carolina. They also did extend that tornado risk down here towards areas of like Florida as well, for the northern side of Florida, for like the far eastern side of Georgia, South Carolina, as well as even out there by Virginia Beach. You know, we can't rule out an isolated tornado or two towards those regions there. Now, whenever it does come to the hail, we do not have a concern for hail for tomorrow. However, damaging winds, they also upgraded that risk to a level 2 threat for eastern North Carolina out there, with a 15% chance of damaging winds, possibly ranging between 60 and 70 miles an hour overall again. So then the risk for damaging wind potential does extend all the way up throughout New England, up here even as far north as areas like southern Massachusetts will be potentially under the risk here for damaging wind gusts, once again up to right around 60 or so miles an hour. Alrighty, everybody, so hopping our way over here into the future models regarding what we can expect here, when we can expect it in terms of severe weather as well as the snowfall. So taking a look at the NAM 3K model, like we mentioned, we have a lot of storms popping off here in the south. This will continue to occur throughout today. As we approach our way here into the evening, you kind of notice how we do get this line of storms that starts popping off across the southern regions, and around this time we could be dealing with still some tornadic activity as well as the damaging wind potential. So once again, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, portions of Georgia will be at risk here for later today. Now, we continue to approach our way here into tomorrow morning. Now, this is where things start to get a little interesting. That line continues pushing to the east, and as it does, right around the early morning here, you can notice we're starting to get a little bit of snowfall starting to kick off across like Tennessee, towards like Kentucky, Ohio. This is for right around sunrise or so. So around sunrise, we're going to be starting to see a bit of snowfall for these areas here. Same thing up north, a bit of snowfall for the upper portion of the Midwest and the Great Lakes, starting to do a little bit of that lake effect action. We'll get to that here more in a few minutes. So basically the reason why that we are starting to get some snow is because of that cold air that's working its way down from Canada is interacting with that precipitation. Because it's cold enough, it's allowing it to transition from rain into snow. So we will start to get that snowfall occurring for basically early tomorrow. So then we approach our way right around noon or so, and as we approach our way towards noon, we will be seeing a pretty good amount of snowfall falling towards, the eastern sides of Tennessee, western North Carolina for those upper elevations, portions of like the Appalachian Plateau of Virginia. We got like West Virginia, portions of Pennsylvania, Ohio, seeing a bit of snowfall out here as well. And around this time, you can kind of see we do have this line of storms working its way through the Carolinas, out there towards like, eastern Virginia, across portions here of New England. And around this time, it will actually be very, very warm for you guys, as we are seeing a temporary warm front roll its way across New England, as well as the mid-Atlantic. So you're going to notice those temperatures in the 50s, the 60s, and even the 70s in some spots, which we'll look at here in a few minutes, which will definitely be a temporary relief regarding temperatures. But unfortunately, that's not going to last long, as the cold air is going to overtake the region again and allow for things to cool down yet again. So then we continue to work our way down in time. Right around the evening, right around 6 p.m. or so, the snow starts to slow down across the Tennessee-Ohio Valley. But around this time, Michigan, out there towards the upper state and the main state, is seeing a lot of lake effect snow. Also out there by areas like, northwestern Pennsylvania, western New York State, northeastern Ohio. We already do have a lot of lake effect snow warnings in effect for these areas. We're going to need to watch out for this, as we are expecting a pretty good amount of snowfall. Once again, that's another thing we'll dive into here in a few minutes overall. So around this time tomorrow evening, the storm should be relatively ending across the towards New England and the mid-Atlantic. And basically, we work our way here towards the later portion here of tomorrow, kind of around midnight or so. The snow will settle down a bit, kind of breaking up more into snow showers, but it will still be snowing across areas like New York, out there by like Vermont, portions maybe of like western Massachusetts before the system kind of exits. Now, here's the thing. Because of all that cold air that we are getting rolling its way to the east around this time here for basically the morning of the 12th, we will be seeing a lot of lake effect snow, as that cold air rubs over the warm Great Lakes and generates a lot of snowfall and precipitation, which, like I mentioned, will allow for a good amount of accumulations. Now, currently, like we mentioned, we do have those lake effect snow warnings. We also do got a lot of winter storm watches across like western Michigan, and even winter storm warnings for the upper state here kicking off overall. Okay, so something I do want to mention with you guys is that there is going to be some really, really strong winds with this storm system across the coastal New England region. Now, we are going to be talking several miles an hour, and we're talking tropical storm force winds out here. So it's going to be very, very windy. So as we approach our way here into the later kind of afternoon here of the 11th, we're going to really be picking up on those winds. The GFS suggests possibly right around 30, if not 40 knots of sustained winds off the coast of areas by like New Jersey, out there by like Long Island, and some of the regions out there towards like Connecticut and Massachusetts. So very, very strong winds sustained around 30 to 40 knots, which that's basically tropical. That is tropical storm force winds out there, and we will be gusting even higher. Now, unfortunately, the winds will possibly even get even stronger as we approach our way into the evening of the 11th into the early 12th, as we will be seeing those winds out there kind of towards like eastern Massachusetts, possibly not only 30s, but maybe upwards of like mid 40s could be possible. So very, very strong winds. Now, these are sustained winds. These are not, these are not gusts. This is what the winds are sustained, expected to remain at. But gusts will be even higher across the region here. So definitely, please be careful, especially if you're along the coastlines, as it will be very, very windy. And there could even be a little bit of swelling for some of those coastal areas, as all of that water tends to rush inland. All right, everybody, so taking a look here over at the temperature side of things. Now, we are going to be dealing with a temporary relief regarding those cold temperatures across the east, but like I mentioned, it will be temporary. So we have all that moisture, all of that warm air working its way up here to the north, basically allowing those temperatures to be heating up across the east, which, for tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be dealing with some temperatures here in the 50s, the 60s, and even 70s across portions of the eastern mid-Atlantic and the northeast here. But unfortunately, that cold air will push all of that out of the region here, allowing things to really cool down for the morning of the 12th. Now, across the Ohio Valley, we're going to be dealing with those temperatures in the teens. Very, very cold morning for you guys for the 12th. Please make sure you guys bundle up really across a lot of the country. We're going to need to really bundle up here for the morning of the 12th as we work our way towards school and work and whatnot, as it will be very, very cold, especially out there by the upper Midwest, as we're going to be dealing with temperatures here in the single digits across like Iowa, towards like Minnesota, Wisconsin. It'll be very, very cold, and even up to the far north of like Minnesota and North Dakota, we will be possibly even dealing with those temperatures here into the negatives. Super, super cold morning here for the 12th, so make sure you guys do bundle up for that. Okay, so now we talk the accumulations. How much snow can we be expecting across the regions here? Because like we mentioned, we are going to be seeing a bit of wintry precipitation across the Ohio Valley, and especially the northeast out there by the Great Lakes region, going to be very, very snowy, with several feet of snow being possible. So out here towards the upper elevations of like western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, not a lot, a couple of inches possible. Same thing for the upper elevations here of like the Appalachian Plateau for Virginia, couple of inches possible. Now we start to pick up a bit of accumulations here for the eastern side of West Virginia for those upper elevations. So, a good 3 to 5 inches or so will be expected across those regions here in general. Across like Pennsylvania, a couple of inches possible. But here's where things really do pick up. So across like western New York State, just south of Buffalo, we do have a streak of possible 2 feet or more out there towards like the areas of Dunkirk, towards Westfield, near Hamburg. We've already been seeing a lot of lake effect snow this year across these regions, and we're just adding a lot more to it, with once again over 2 feet of snow being expected. Now, same thing out there by the Watertown area, like we mentioned. This is a hot spot for some heavy lake effect snow. Another 2 feet of snow could be possible for some of those regions out there as well. Out there by Vermont, a couple of inches for those upper elevations, picking up a little bit more. Not a whole lot. Same thing for like upper New Hampshire. For northern Maine, about an inch or so is expected. Not really a lot within the next 3 days. Now, out here towards the western side of Michigan, now like we did mention, we do have ourselves a lot of winter storm watches that is in effect across the region here. So we do have that in effect, and we are expecting a pretty good amount of snowfall. Up here towards the northwestern side of Michigan, we do see the possibility of over a foot, possibly even an isolated amount up to nearly 2 feet near Mansalona, up here in northern Michigan overall. Towards Detroit, you guys don't really get the lake effect snow as bad because of geography here, since you are a little bit further away from the western side, because the winds flow from west to east, mostly covering the west with the snowfall, and keeping the east relatively under a lot of that heavy accumulation. So, a little bit of snow still possible, but really not a lot. Now, for the upper elevations here, the upper state of Michigan, we are going to be seeing a good foot or so of snowfall up there towards the northern side, with a few isolated amounts, upwards well over a foot being possible. So we do actually have some winter storm warnings out in those regions there for the upper state overall. So definitely want to watch out for that, as we are going to be seeing a lot of impacts regarding winter weather across those regions. But alrighty, everybody, well, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, help us out, get to 30,000 subscribers. Be greatly appreciated, my friends. Once again, thank you all for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you guys later on. Alright, everybody, thanks for joining. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends.